Albert Einstein once observed that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another.
Hi, and welcome to the Satori Show with your host, Amy Satori, your intuitive spiritual counselor. Amy's work centers around the energy that is in everything and everywhere. Her rare ability is to identify the energy from any source, and with the help of her guides on the other side, provides an incredibly accurate assessment of what's really going on. Albeit with people living her past, pets, the human body, and her specialty, twin flame relationships. And now we're proud to announce that the show is live at the Lighthouse Bookstore every Sunday night from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can talk to Amy and see for yourself just how special her abilities really are. Just call 256-291-1191. So now sit back and join me, Kevin McDonald, as we present this episode of the Satori Show.
And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and yes, you have. You really have. You found the Satori Show with your host, Amy Satori. I made you laugh again.
You really have.
You're cracking up over
You've
here.
arrived.
You've arrived. You found the show. And again, this is the Amy Satori Show. And Amy, how are you today? How are you this Sunday?
I am good, thank you.
Awesome. And what I'd like to, so you can follow along with what we're going to be doing. We've got a couple of shows we're going to do today, and both shows are going to be awesome. We have a guest in our first hour. His name is Stephen Angel, and he is an angel, and we're going to talk to him in just a couple of moments. But the first thing that we want to do is I want to lay out for you how you can find this show. You can go to the satorishow.podbean.com, and you can download all of our 70 previous episodes. You can go to the satorishow.com, and that can be your gateway to amysatori.com. There's a lot of .coms in that. And you can find out all the information about who Amy is, what she does, and there's a resources page, and you can do all of that. Now, if you'd like to talk to us live from 5:30 to 7:30 Pacific on Sunday and 6:30 to 8:30 Mountain on Sunday, you can do that by calling 256-291-1191, or you can always message us at amysatori.com, and we can answer your question on the air. We can also go to Facebook, and we got all the technology going on, don't we, Amy?
That we do.
Yes, we do. So, have you had a good week?
It's been a great week. I've been getting all kinds of crazy downloads, and so it's been kind of a choppy sleep, but it's been really kind of inspiring. So yeah, and getting lots done, stuff I was procrastinating about. I finally have been getting those things done, and so it feels pretty darn great and empowering. Oh, and in the next hour, we're gonna share some of those downloads that I've been getting with you twins out there that are listening. So
when you're talking about downloads, when you're talking about downloads, you're talking about from the source, from the other side while you've been sleeping, and they've been so rude. They've been waking you up.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I'm referring to when I say downloads.
Oh, very
good.
You
just kind of wake up and you have all these ideas that jump in your head, and you're having to write them all down, and then more come, and then you have to wake up again and write them all down. It's like every time you start to fall asleep, there comes another one, and then you have to keep writing, and sometimes it can go on for a long time, like a couple hours.
So you've written a lot of this
manage to get back to sleep. Yeah. Well, I type it on my phone. Helps me not wake up too bad. If I get up and turn on the light and whatnot, then I'm pretty much up. So, it's kind of I have to get a feel for yet how best to take in these downloads, but it seems to be working how I'm doing it, so we're good.
Well, I'd like to take a moment, because this would be a great time for us to kind of give somebody who hasn't listened to the show before a real good idea of what it is that Amy does. And one of the subjects that she has become an expert in is the twin flame phenomenon. And we have a caller on the line that has an update and a couple questions for you.
That sounds great.
And caller, if you'd like to talk to Amy, here's your chance.
Hi, Amy. Hi.
Hi.
How are you? It's Suzanne again.
Oh, hey, Suzanne. What's going on?
How are you?
Good, good. Thanks.
Good. So I had messaged you on, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sunday was good. Monday was good. Tuesday morning, he sent me a text. And because I had a job interview. And he said, good luck with your interview. You've got this. And, just really lifting me up and making me feel good about the step that I'm trying to take.
Awesome.
And then, so I did a post on Facebook, and somebody turns around and they say something to him. So I didn't mention any names, his name or whatever. And I get this text later saying, on Wednesday, saying that I needed to take everything down that I had posted about our relationship.
Mm.
And then he said, we're done. So we've been we didn't talk Thursday. Wednesday evening, Thursday. And then he sent me a text on Thursday and about something else. I don't remember. Somebody else was sneaking around on my Facebook page saying that I didn't take anything down when I did. So
and that's what they told him, that you still had it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on yesterday evening, I was out at a friend's house, and I was getting ready to leave, and he sends me this text and says, glad you're not settling for me, hate to be that disappointment.
Do you know what he was referring to?
No, I don't. So I said, what are you talking about? And you were never a disappointment. And then I asked him where he was so that I could go talk to him about it. Because I'm not one to just let things kind of settle when it comes to saying something like that. I mean, if you've got something in your own mind that you feel like you're a disappointment. So this morning or this afternoon, he sent me a message because I do hair. So we have a mutual friend that needed a haircut. And I said, okay, thank you. And he said, sure. And I asked him if he cared to elaborate about the message that he had sent me last night. And he said, no, thank you. And I asked him why, and he says, there's no need. And I said, did I ever make you feel like that? What he had said last night.
Mm-hmm.
And he said no. And that's where I left it.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that's okay.
Because I want him to sit and I want him to think.
Good.
About my question, his response to my question. If I never made him feel like that, then why would you say it? And if you're number one, and number two, if you're done, why are you supporting my business?
Well, he's not done. He's definitely not done. He's been triggered.
So I'm sorry. His ex blasted him on Facebook.
Oh. Because of what you had said, or something like that.
No, just because they went through a divorce. They have 2 children.
Okay. Yeah, so he's got that trigger coming up.
Probably because of I was happy about what he had sent me on Tuesday, So, and he told me, that's okay. Share you're happy. Most people don't get to do that. And
okay.
This was before. This was back in April when I asked him. I said, "Is it okay if I post a picture of you and I on Facebook?"
Right.
Asked
Okay.
him if I could put our relationship on Facebook, and he said that was fine.
Okay. So let me feel this out for just a minute. Yeah, it just feels like he's feeling really insecure right now. And we have two men listening right now on the other end of the line. But one of the things that scares men most is not being able to be what we want them to be. So they really, really do want to show up as these men in our lives that we look up to and respect a lot. So if there's any ounce of a feeling that we are looking down on them or shaming them or anything like that, disrespecting them basically, then they're going to, depending on how strong they are, I suppose, they are going to feel like giving up. And they're going to feel like, somebody else might be better for you, better suited for you. And some of it is actually just saying that, trying to push you away. But some of them get real scared or concerned that they're not going to be what you want them to be, not realizing that it's our responsibility to make us happy. It is not on them. And a lot of women really do put a lot of pressure on their men to be like these perfect people, which is very, very emasculating. And it can be really tough on men to kind of live up to that standard. And however, having said that, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on women to look kind of perfect and stuff too. So they both do it to each other. And that's where we need to kind of stand on our own 2 feet and make ourselves happy despite what our partner is doing, and just respectfully communicate what we're feeling to each other, so that we know that these triggers will come up and insecurities will come up, but you got to be able to talk through it. So in this instance where he's kind of being really choppy in his communication and he's not being real clear to you, maybe you can make some points as to the first thing that I really think would be the thing you should do that you're already thinking you're going to do anyway, which is just give him lots of space, leave him alone. But maybe you might want to make some points of just stating some facts, not things you're reading into, but facts. I asked you if I could share on Facebook, and you said that I could, and I'm really sorry that you feel like I might have stepped over a boundary or something, So you can also say you gave me permission, but you can also say I'm sorry that I crossed a boundary. So you can just kind of summarize what's happened. Okay, good. And then you can just say I'm open to discussing whatever this is, but it kind of feels like you might be reading into something. Can we talk about it? This might be just a misunderstanding, and I'm hoping we can just clear this up. So, but he's definitely feeling scared. I feel his heart beating really fast about trying to please you. So give him some time to think this over, and let him just think about what's just happened, because I also feel like he is realizing that this is a trigger too. So part of this journey when you're coming into union with someone is that you have to learn that you're going to have these triggers, and it's really scary to express yourself. It's really scary to be vulnerable and say, I was kind of scared of what you did. It kind of hurt me. It kind of reminded me of this old thing that happened and whatnot. And you're feeling like you're kind of like in doing that, you're giving your power away, and you're telling somebody, hey, this thing scares me if you ever do it. And you're thinking because of the karmic partners you've had that person is then going to go, oh, well, if I ever want to make you upset, then I know what to do. That somehow it gives their power away to you to know that secret or whatever it is. It's just hard to be vulnerable. But the more you can show them that you can trust them, or they can trust you and you can trust them, and you start to see that when you give them, a vulnerable piece of information and you open up to them, it is actually safe now with their real partner that they were meant to be with, then their guard will start coming down. But in a time like this, when he's when his hackles are up, I would definitely leave him alone to kind of sort it through. And now, Kevin, you can validate this as well, because Kevin and I have had several times when there have been miscommunications or misunderstandings, and I have been so impressed by whatever it is we talked about, and no matter how upset he is, the next morning, he's got a different perspective on it, and he's just, really molded over. And then he usually has some really great ideas and some answers. So I hope that helps. Does that bring up another question for you, or does that hit it?
No, you hit it. But,
okay, so maybe just confirming what you already felt. It sounds like you're doing the right thing, and just, giving him lots of space to sort this through for himself. And then he feels like he accomplished something. They also don't want us to make them do whatever it is, So just let him figure it out for himself and come to you with those realizations.
Right. So in the last 2 mornings, I've gone to bed kind of late, and I'm only getting like 4 hours of sleep, so I know how you feel.
Oh.
With the downloads and everything. So,
Thank you.
yeah, I'm getting them. I'm getting it.
Oh, that's great. They're sweet, aren't they? I mean, they're just really a lot of it. A lot of the information coming through is so inspiring and exciting. I hope that's been the same case for you.
Yes.
Good.
But I'm learning a lot from this journey with him, and I'm finally learning how to let my guard down, to be able to be vulnerable with him, but I'm just not sure, like you said, how to make him feel safe to be able to talk to me.
The worst thing you can do I think, is to try to drag him out of his cave when he runs to retreat.
And I don't. I let him be. I just, go lick your wounds or whatever you need to do, and when you're ready to talk about it, I'm here. That's all I can do.
Perfect. Nice work.
Thank you.
And hopefully he will get to the point to where he can talk to you in a manner that works for both of you. And Amy referenced our relationship and the metamorphosis that we've gone through. And early on, if you remember, Amy, I made the comment to you that, yes, we are going to have disagreements, we're going to have issues, but we are going to work within the framework of our relationship to work on these issues and to come up with solutions to them, rather than listen to other people, listen to outside influences and other folks that will always people are around that are going to want to influence what happens, and you can't let that happen. It's got to be both parties have got to say, we're going to work within our relationship, whatever that relationship is, whether it's romantic or whether it's business or whatever it is, we're going to work to solve our issues within the relationship, and nobody's going anywhere. That's the key.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I hope that helps. And she's muted, so she can't respond. So let me just unmute her. Does that help, caller? And I wish you the best. And please call back with more updates, would you please?
Oh, I will.
Great.
Because we're real interested in this. So with that, we thank you again, caller, and you're welcome to stay on the line and listen to the show, because we have a real exciting thing right now. I would like to introduce. Well, actually, I think I'll have Amy do it, because Stephen Angel came to her, and they had a wonderful conversation, and that has evolved into this. So, Amy, tell us about Stephen.
Stephen, he came to get a reading about a month or so ago, and I was really struck by him, because I'm not used to dealing with someone like him, and as I was talking to him, it occurred to me, oh my gosh, this is like a really prime example of a divine masculine, what the men are moving into now. We've grown up with the whole dynamic of men not being able to express their feelings. I know they're becoming more sensitive now. They're able to talk about that kind of thing now. But it's really shifting and changing. We're becoming more equals, men and women, and becoming more balanced in their feminine and masculine aspects. But Stephen was really impressive, because We were talking about all kinds of really hard, tough things, and then I would, give my advice, and he'd say, "Oh, I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm already doing that." And I was just so surprised that almost everything that I was recommending he was already doing. So he was doing cord cutting, having energy work done on a regular basis. Then he started to tell me he talks to Jesus. And I was so blown away, and I'm like, "You're a general contractor?" Like, are you kidding me? Like, if only these guys that you're working with knew that you like talk to Jesus and Metatron and things like that. So it was just so cool talking to him, and I was just more and more impressed the more we talked. And I just said, "I think you need to come on my show." And we definitely agreed that needed to happen at a future date, and today is that future date. So we may have him come on and do a few talks with us and kind of share himself with us and his life's journey, because it's pretty darn incredible. But before we get started on that, Stephen, you want to tell the callers how we met and how that went for you?
Oh, well, thanks, Amy. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what struck me is that I almost literally ran into you coming out of your booth. I'm like, wow, I wasn't even going to get a reading, and then literally almost ran you over. So I figured, well, this must be an opportunity to talk with you. So I'm glad we did that. I don't think of myself as a prime example of divine masculine, or I've never really thought of myself in those terms whatsoever. But thank you so much for the compliments. I'm just, I think of myself as just ordinary guy, that's really just looking to grow, and just try to be a better person and be, all the things that I am, and not what I've been told that I am or that I'm supposed to be. So that's just been my life journey here the last many years, is just trying to figure myself out.
Yeah, how did that reading go?
Well, it was good. It was good. We just had a few minutes, and everything in my life is, we talked about like this new business venture that I'm working on, and it's all kind of an expression of myself. Everything I've been doing with my life is now, I work as a contractor, and then I had another business idea that came from Christ to really put myself into it. Whereas being a contractor, I'm skilled and I use my mind, I use my hands. I'm really good at it, but I'm not really putting myself into it. So I got my own download about this business, and you really helped me with that this is something that I'll be bringing into the world at a later date. And, this will be Christ energy and in a new way that is expressed through me, and I look forward to the day that I can launch that new business. The reading was fantastic.
Well, that's awesome.
So, Stephen, I wanted to ask you, because of your path that you're on, and there are other people that are listening who are not where you are, but are trying to understand how to get to where you are. How did it begin for you? What was your motivation? What was your calling? Where did it come from to lead you on this path?
Oh, boy. Where did it come from? I would say, it came from above in a sense, I suppose. When you live, I lived my life for so many years in absolute denial of myself. I think I was drinking from the time I was 18 till I was 42, pretty much every day. Not a raging alcoholic, but just enough to not feel anymore because, the work hurt physically and emotionally. I just didn't want to deal with things. And I did that for so long. And, my whole life had become, put underground. All my emotional content, was ignored consciously and then absorbed subconsciously. And I had unknown, just massive amount of inner turmoil and inner angst, inner dissatisfaction. And,
and you mentioned to me some hatred.
Oh, yeah, the hatred. I mean, this was learned from an early age, with my sister. My experience with my sister was, when I was an infant, I was crying in my crib, and I usurped my sister, I suppose, as the baby of the family. So I'm crying. The story goes that my sister grabs me by one arm as I'm screaming and walks out to the living room, holding me by one arm, and says, "Mom, your baby's crying." and this is how much she loved me from the day I came into the world. So, we really had this relationship, and I just really learned to hate this girl, and she was my sister. And then so I didn't really feel love. I was kind of a lone wolf kid. But all this stuff that I was suppressing for all these years, I got to a point where I saw my future. And this is, I guess, where it really struck home, is I saw my future not changing. I just continue on this path till I'm dead. And for me, since I didn't believe in suicide or anything like that, it's like, well, I'm already dead. I mean, if I continue to do what I'm doing and I don't shift, if I don't do something different, it might as well be the end now. And and then it's like, my world started to unravel, and the way I started thinking about things changed. And my very first experience after that, spiritual experience, I went to a Reiki healer because I just didn't know what to do. And the only message I got, the only thing that came to me was the word Reiki. I was golfing on a course like 10 years prior, and my shoulder hurt, and some guy said, "Hey, did you ever hear of Reiki?" I'm like, "No, what's that?" And he's like, "Let me show you." And he put his hands on my shoulder, and I could feel the blood circulating and this amazing healing. I'm like, wow, that's the coolest thing ever. And I completely forgot about it. And then out of the blue, when I saw the end of my life, I saw everything. I saw it going nowhere. That word came to my mind, and I sought out a Reiki practitioner. And, after that session, the lights went on inside, and I could really start seeing things in a different way. And then that's how it began.
And how long ago was that?
Let's see, sometime in 2013.
Oh, that's awesome. And so you've taken steps to actually change your life and have also become a student of what you were given. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah. When I started taking a look at what was going on inside of me, and then I became fascinated with what is running me if I'm not running myself, and what's going on, and what is all the content inside of me. And I very, very interested in becoming aware of my own energy field, my own energy body. What is this stuff? And the people talked about, I remember Googling protection, because I was actually, it's kind of funny because when I quit, drinking, I decided, I'm just going to go drinking on the weekends only. I'll just have a couple beers on the weekend. I'm not going to drink during the week anymore. And I cut it out. I cut it back, and then I decided no weekends at all. I'm just going to stop drinking, and things got worse. I mean, worse. I started feeling worse and worse and worse because I was feeling more. The less I drank, the more I actually felt. And then when I realized what I was feeling that was inside and hidden in the shadows inside of me, that's when it really scared me beyond any level of fear I ever imagined. I thought I was brave. No, I was numb. And I really had to face these fears. I mean, I had to really look at myself, and it wasn't fear of death. When you're not living, you're not afraid of dying. So I wasn't afraid of death. But there was real fear in me. Real fear of being me was really the fear. And I still have this fear, but now I know that I'm afraid to be myself because I don't know exactly who I am. And I don't know how the world will take me yet, but I'm finding courage to be myself more now. And, I'm fascinated by, what we do as people to not be authentic, to let the programs that are put upon us rule us. And, we're so much more than what we are led to believe we are. And I have, I've studied, I've read, I've taken so many different types of healing courses and shamanic courses, and tons of study in hypnosis. I'm a certified hypnosis practitioner, studied hypnosis for years. I just love this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
That's awesome.
we are going because I asked Amy this when we first started this show. I asked Amy to provide me with a hypnotherapist who was aware of the Newton Institute and Michael Newton's work, and life between lives, because it's a very important topic to me, and we're going to talk about that in a future episode. So thank you, Amy, for bringing Stephen to me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I look forward to that episode as well, because that is a really fun topic.
That's so funny, you guys,
Indeed.
because I have this back screen on. I'm like being a host this evening, so I'm looking at our studio in the back, and the balance was just at 11:11 as you said that. Oh, the
Magic
synchronicities.
numbers.
Yeah. So, yeah, we found him. Yay! Yeah, and
So,
we're
Stephen,
definitely going to have some fun with that.
I am really curious. You're a general contractor, right? And you've worked with your hands and you've done all of the, but there is a calling that you have been given. Can you share what that calling is with our audience?
Well, the calling isn't, I have the freedom within myself to use the calling that I have for whatever I choose. The calling is really, that I have found within myself, is to give myself. This is my calling. When we spoke about the hatred, just briefly, as a child, I had learned to really hate my sister and hate, anybody who wronged me. And I really learned how to close myself off. And I don't know, decided, I don't like to say you decide as a child, to do anything, but I became very much a taker of everything. I never saw myself that way. I would, what can people give me? I would seek to take from women, especially women. I want to take love, and from the environment, I want to take, drugs, or I want to take money, I want to take contracts. I want, it was this taking mentality. And my calling now, what I found is that I've been doing it all wrong, and it's actually to give, and it's to give of myself. And, if there's a specific cause, that's fantastic. For me, over the years, I've learned business, and I had a hard time reconciling, business and greed, and, business owners are bad. And, if you want to be a healer and help the world, you have to suffer and be poor. That was never really a model that worked and settled for me at all. But I do love business, and I am really called, I've had this vision, this download of changing the way we buy in this world, and, helping consumers choose the right companies to buy products from. And I was given a download on how to make this happen. And, I'm going to pursue, this business venture down the road. And at the same time, my calling is also to be, a better father, and give more of myself to my daughter, and to be a better husband, and really give myself to my new wife, and have real friendships with people, and connect to them, instead of being superficial. What are you going to do for me? My friendships in the past used to be, oh, I need a golfing buddy. I'll call up so-and-so, because I need somebody to be with so I can golf. What am I giving? I'm giving them nothing. So real friendship. So my calling is to give myself. And I believe if we all look deeply inside, we will find that we are called to be of service to one another, and in whatever way we choose, and whatever, our talents are, whatever our bliss is, whatever we choose to put into the world.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious about one aspect of like your history, is what were some tools that you used? Did you just use energy work alone to get through those shadow things? And like, if you were to experience something like being very angry at somebody today, what is the tool, or what's your most common tool to use to get over any types of distress or upsetting things that happen to you? How are you dealing with that now?
Well, I don't get angry anymore, Amy. I'm just kidding. Just totally kidding.
Yeah, right.
No, getting angry. No, that's the thing. Well, for one, since I had learned hatred at an early age, and I don't know, the contracting world is very full of low energy people. I mean, we have sex addicts, we have meth addicts, we have alcoholics, we have porn addicts. I mean, the whole environment is really toxic in a lot of ways, with a lot of low energy people. And I'm not blaming the people. It's just the environment happens to attract a lot of people like that, and so when
Kevin
I would
deals
get
with that too in his job.
I would get
Kevin's a bus driver, like during the day, and he's always dealing with those same exact people. So this is going to be great for him. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so you get surrounded with this energy, and at the same time, I had learned hatred, right? So I'm picking up, the group soup of the energy of the people I'm surrounded with, mixed with hatred. So I use my mind, even in a way, to really inflict pain and suffering on people when they cross me. I mean, I would dig deep into the wells of hatred and wish them to suffer with every ounce of my being. This was pure evil, absolutely an evil within me that I didn't even know. I wasn't even conscious I was doing it. But I was doing it. And now I get angry, and then I realize instantly, okay, for one, I'm not opening those doors inside of me. I don't hate these people. I don't hate the situation at all. I'm angry. What am I afraid of? What is causing? I got angry the other day because I have a contract that is, I have material delays and I have conflicts with other people in the project, and I'm getting angry. And it's like, well, all right, it's not so-and-so. It might seem like so-and-so's doing something to me, but it's really not. What am I angry about? Well, I could lose time. I could lose money. I could lose other things. So I'm afraid of the future. I'm afraid of how this is going to impact me down the road. So really my anger that I'm noticing and trying to bring consciousness to my negative feelings. It's like, what's really going on with me that needs to be addressed? Because ultimately nobody out there is making me angry. I'm getting angry. So what am I doing? And actually, it's not even what it's doing. What is going on in my thought processor? The brain upstairs. What's going on up there that is actually causing me to feel this way? And the first thing I do is just recognize it. Okay, and then I sit with it. And I can't always say that I'm perfect with it, but when I can just sit with it for a minute, or hopefully just a minute or two, and say, okay, I'm angry, and acknowledge the feeling. And then I say, all right, well, I'm not going to hate. I'm not going to go there. So let me just calm down. And then sometimes I can't. I can't really calm down. And so I just cope until I can find myself some space. And then I practice self-hypnosis. And I have learned to do certain things in a pattern where I set my own triggers. So like in my lap right now, I've got this large crystal wand that I just hold just to keep me centered and grounded. And, I think of Christ, and I think of the innocent child that we all are inside our hearts. We have this very, very innocent part that rests sacredly in our hearts, and everybody has this. And the people that are making me angry, they're not making me angry, that I'm reacting to also have this sacred thing in them, and that's not what's coming out. There's some sort of fear coming out of somebody somewhere along the way, and the fear is spreading like a disease. So I just have to stop the fear. I just have to ground myself and say, okay, I'm going to let it go. Bring the sense of Christ to my heart with this inner child, and this inner child is what I feel is this part is our connection to Christ. This is the real source of who we are inside, and our value to God is our Christ innocence. It's at the center of our hearts. So I just tune my channel to that energy of, wow, okay, it's okay. I forgive myself instantly for having bad thoughts. It's not, I'm not going to condemn myself for, imaginarily, cursing at the guy, even if I wouldn't, whatever. I just forgive myself instantly and go right to that place of innocence. And it's like, okay. And I do my best with it. And, some days, I'll tell you what, this is really a huge challenge for not only me, but especially blue-collar guys in this industry, or anybody who's surrounded in a toxic environment like this, because you're bombarded with negativity and stress and loud machines, and the whole environment is so incredibly toxic that it's very, very difficult to be yourself and not be in a reactive state. So it's just it's just the way it is. But I manage the best I can, and what works for me may not work for everybody else. I just found something that works for me.
Yeah, that's probably why you get energy work done every week too, right? Like an eraser.
Yeah.
It's a very good idea to have that done for you because as Amy said, Stephen, my day job, I drive a Metro bus. And so I am exposed to, I have an interesting story to share that just happened yesterday, if I could do it real quick. I parked my bus at my layover spot that I don't normally go to because I needed to use we call them comfort stations when you got to go potty. And so I was going to go to the comfort station. Well, in front of the comfort station is a retaining wall. It's about 4 feet high or 3 feet high, and people like to sit on that. And as I observed as I exited my bus, and people were walking around, and the previous bus had just left, and I started walking up towards where the comfort station is, and I noticed one gentleman who's sitting there kind of wobbling back and forth, and I said, "Oh, he's got." And then I noticed next to him was a pair of shoes connected to legs, and the person was laying on the ground backwards over the retaining wall and was having a seizure.
Whoa.
And people were just walking around like nothing. They'd look at him and just keep walking. And so I went up to him and I looked and noticed that he was not well. And it turned out that he was having a drug overdose, which I don't know if the opioid epidemic is getting huge. And he was having one of those. So I immediately turned around and went back to my bus, called it in, and the aide was there within 3 minutes, and I think he made it. I think he's going to be okay. But it struck me that being in that environment with those kind of people who really don't care, it was really a sad moment for me because nobody took the time to walk over and say, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" and that happens all the time to us. And so it's easy when you're trying to walk in a special way and trying to follow Christ's teachings, which is what I try and do. Sometimes it's very hard to sit back and not get triggered by some of these things that happen. But that's the challenge. And that's why I've been given this job, is because that's something I need to work on. And that is the biggest challenge I've got. So I applaud you for what you're doing, because I understand the blue-collar trades as well.
Yeah.
It's your guys' boot camp. I mean, all life is, it's always reflecting back to us what's left unhealed within us. Oh, I'm just curious Yeah?
No, go ahead, Nate.
Well, I was just wondering, how did this whole thing with you talking to Jesus start? I mean, when you said that, I lit up. I was like, I talk to him all the time too.
Specifically, this came about through the past life regression. Maybe we say that for the show. If we do specifically about Jesus, because it all fits in. It's so crazy, I'm working on a book, and the chapter is I met Jesus on a spaceship. And this kind of goes like this, like in the mind of what's going on with me when I came across Jesus. But basically, what I learned about working with energy, first of all, begin awareness of your own energy. Feel when you're tense, and I started to meditate. That's basically when I started to gain an awareness of at least my own energy field. It's like, how tense am I? It's like, oh my gosh, you relax a little bit. It's like, wow, I didn't realize I was so tense. And then I just began to slowly develop my own awareness of my own energy field. And then I realized, you know what? I'm starting to pick up other people's emotions. Why am I doing that? And then I developed that, hey, wait a second. Now I just a greater and greater awareness, right, of the different energies. And, one of the courses or trainings, or one of the people, mentioned angels, and we're called in an angel or something, and I felt like the energy. I felt the presence. I felt the presence of an angel, and like, that's interesting, because I never thought these, things really worked or existed or anything. And then, same with the energy of Christ. It's like, this being, I don't know, is not dead. at all. There's a living being that is not in the physical, that absolutely can actively participate in our lives. And in my mind, I see Jesus from time to time, and when I call to him, it depends on how tuned in or not I am. I can feel messages coming from him. It's like we talk telepathically. I've seen him visually, and he's showing me images he's basically telling me to change my diet. He shows me, he's doing gestures where he's eating like a pig, and he's like, all right, and I'm like, thanks, but it's not the, this is my experience with Jesus, and I know for a fact it's Jesus. This is absolutely the being that I would recognize from anything, any poster or whatever, but I never was a Christian growing up. I never went to church.
Wow.
I just came across this energy that appeared to me. I mean, I was begging for help at one point. At my lowest point, I was like, I got to get some help. I need help. I mean, I was really in a really dark place. My world was falling apart, spinning out of control. Unexplained things were happening all around me. I mean, completely bizarre, unexplained events that are shaking me to the core. And I asked for help, and I didn't even think to ask for Jesus. It didn't even cross my mind, and it just appeared anyway. So that was pretty cool. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty neat. And now I realize that the Jesus that is very real to me is probably why I never had an appeal to the church in the first place, because this Jesus is very real, very much loves me, very much is concerned about me, very much wants to help me. And this is not about how we murdered him. It's not about that at all. It's not about the way that the Bible is taught and religion is taught. This is not what spirit is about. It's not. It never resonated with me, and my connection with Christ now does. And I know this is the real being Christ because there's nothing but goodness coming out of this being, and amazing healing energy and light, like nothing else. I mean, there's only one. There's only one.
Yeah,
for sure.
I totally get that. What about the reference to the spacecraft? What's up with that?
Well, this was, part of my regression, I suppose. We could go into it briefly, but, I'm going through this past life regression. You're conscious when you're going through this, and you're talking with the hypnotherapist. And Jesus absolutely appeared in my mind. And I'm like, what's this about? I'm like, Jesus is here now, and just absolutely appeared in my mind, like a light that was far off, like a headlight, just came closer and closer and closer to me, and Jesus was standing in the center of this light, and he got my attention, and he turned around, and he started walking down a hallway, and he's showing me rooms to the left, rooms to the right, just very calmly showing me medieval scenes of torture, mayhem, chaos, a happy, peaceful life, basically giving me the message that I can have anything I want. If you want to experience this, it's your freedom to experience this. You want this, you can have this. And just very much calmly, evenly, just leading me through an endless hall of my options, of whatever I want, for myself, whatever I need to experience. Or I don't even really know, but the feeling was, I'm here for you. I'll guide you. I'll help you. What do you want? What do you need? Yeah, I will help you. It was very much unconditional love, understanding, education, all at my disposal, and he was totally willing to help me in any way possible. And I didn't know what to ask for. I wasn't expecting him to show up. I wasn't expecting these options. But after this, my very next thing I did was seek out, didn't even seek it out. It came to me, a hypnotherapist. My wife at the time partner at the time was seeing a hypnotherapist, wanted me to come for counseling, found out she was a hypnotherapist. She heard about my experience with this. We need to go back there and talk to Jesus again. And then we did that again and got another deep connection with Jesus, and then started my training with hypnosis because it was absolutely fascinating. But, this other connection with Jesus where I went in, and he took me up, and taking me to very, very high realms. And just reconnecting me with this incredible healing energy, and brought me, again in my mind, right, brought me to this chamber, like in my mind, that is surrounded by these tall crystals and like tall beams of light all the way around. And they're like, so what are you doing? And I said, well, I choose Jesus. And oh my gosh, the screams and the cheers of joy that came out of that room, I've never heard anything like it. Not human sounding at all. If this is what angels sound like, it was a room full of angels cheering for me when I said I choose Jesus. Mm-hmm. I did. I just made a choice that I choose Jesus in this moment. And and then choosing Jesus, now it's like, how do I find the Christ within me, and how do I bring it out and express it my own way? Because, part of what I learned in this process is we all have this, we're all made of Christ energy. Christ was an embodiment of the purity of pure Christ energy, and we're not. But we have pure Christ energy in us, and we can express this to whatever degree we choose or have ability to. We may not all be ready to express as much as others. It's like a first grader versus a 12th grader in school. The first grader can't, do the same calculus as, the first grader doing 1 + 1. So whatever we're able to do, in this world and can now be expressed. And this is now what I'm exploring in my life. I'm taking, leadership courses and seminars, and I'm talking on a radio show here, just learning to do things differently and expressing myself and talking about spirituality and connection and, not being just a contractor. Now I can be like myself, talk about things that I'm passionate about and things that are important to me. And, and this is part of the experience. This is part of the journey and the purpose. It's all interconnected.
And
that
Stephen,
so awesome.
I want to be respectful of your time because we are approaching the end of our first podcast, and I know you're on the East Coast. And if you're a contractor, you get up pretty darn early in the morning on Monday morning. So I wanted, but before we let you go, I would be remiss if I did not say two things. First of all, I'm amazed, and Amy was absolutely right. You are an amazing man, and you're on an amazing journey. Second thing is there are lots and lots of people, and the people that are finding this show are also searching. They're searching for something better, searching for a better way to be, a better way to live, a better way to surround themselves with loving people and loving energy. Can you please speak to those people that are beginning their search? How would you tell them to proceed?
Boy, practical advice, meditate. 5 minutes a day. Pay attention to your breath and start to meditate. Start with 1 minute a day, if that's all you can take. But you got to get a meditation practice together of some sort where you can just stop your brain from going all the time. The brain needs to stop thinking for long enough for you to receive a different type of thinking, a different type of feeling, a different way of being. So the practical way, I would say, take the time and just stop the obsessive thinking and make a commitment to be better, and make that real commitment that, hey, I'm going to be better. From this moment forward, I'm going to be better. You make that commitment and you start to practice and just follow your path where it leads you.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect.
That's awesome. That is just awesome. By the way, we've been talking with Stephen Angel. He is going to come back in a future episode. I'll let Amy and he work out the details of when that will happen. But I am extraordinarily excited about having you back on to talk about past life regression and also life between live regression that Michael Newton does or did before his passing. And with that, Stephen, is there anything you'd like to add, anything you'd like to say to our audience before we close this podcast?
No, it's just been a pleasure speaking with you guys. I appreciate the opportunity, and boy, you've been wonderful to talk with, and I hope everybody just has a great day and enjoy life.
Thank you so much,
Miss Amy?
Yeah, I was really feeling into what he was talking about with all the different rooms and possibilities, and just want to encourage everyone too. I mean, you probably felt the expansion of that moment that he was describing, and it just really makes you think. If your life isn't the way you want it right now, daydream, and know that anything is possible. Don't limit the daydream to what you or have been familiar with and that you've experienced so far in your life. Allow yourself to imagine a completely carefree life where you don't really, kind of like Office Space, where you don't really care, but in a good way, but you're just like really free and just laughing at life and everything that comes your way and just enjoying it fully. Almost like people love to reflect back on when they were little and they had no responsibilities. Go back to those moments when you were playing in the yard. I know I just posted on Instagram a picture of my dad putting a bunch of my model horses all over the yard, and he felt like kind of giddy and excited, and he was like, I kind of want to play with the horses. I kind of want to get into Amy's world for a minute. and it was just really sweet. So it's like go back, allow yourself to play and go back into your, play around in your mind's eye and kind of daydream about what kind of life do I want? What could it be like? And kind of reach for that in your mind's eye. And as you're doing that, you're getting in that vibrational state to match that desire, and it's going to magnetize towards you. So believe and poo-poo any thoughts that try to get in your way, like Stephen was saying, and just focus on what it is you do want, not what you don't want. And one of the things that came to me in the middle of the night, the other night, had to do also with how, totally lost it, but it had to do with anxiety and I don't know. I'm going to just leave it at that because, just daydream and poo-poo anything that tries to get in the way. Don't be listening to the negative thought. The negative thoughts will always try to rain on your parade, but don't let it happen. Oh, this was the thing. Don't pray that things change in your life. Don't pray that a lot of twin flames listen to this. So don't pray that your twin flames show up in your life and rescue you. Or don't pray that your circumstances change. Don't pray that something turn around and happen. Instead, be in that state of gratitude and get to a place where you are accepting as possible of everything that's going on in your life right now. Pray to be satisfied with your conditions. Pray to be happy with the way that your life is right now, as it is right now. And that's where you're going to find your happiness, is beyond circumstances.
That's beautiful. And I would like to say in closing, Stephen, just so you know, the whole reason why I do this, the whole reason that I started Positive Talk Radio is for shows like this. And I thank you so much for being a part of it, and we look forward to you being part of our family for a very long time, because you have something important to say. And remember, forever trust in who you really are, and nothing else matters. We'll see you next time on The Satori Show.
You've been listening to The Satori Show. Please visit Amy's website, www.amysatori.com, to find out more about this incredible talent. The views expressed during this podcast are those of the host, guests, and callers and are not necessarily those of management or the owners of this podcast. What you need to know is that Amy is a wonderful teacher, guide, and communicator for the unseen world. What she does not pretend to be is a doctor, fortune teller, seer of world events, or predictor of what is to come. What Amy presents is real, based on her understanding of the world and communication with that unseen world. As always, you're free to decide for yourself as to what to believe. Regardless, we love and accept you completely just as you are. And thanks again for listening to The Satori Show.